How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Fear Street One Evil Summer. This is written by R.L. Stine. It originally came out July 1994 and is book number 25 in the Fear Street series. And this is one that I have an original cover for, and I do want to say, boy, do I love this cover. I'm glad that I found it. You got the bright green of this wallpaper with the yellow, forming quite the intense eye-catching colors. But then you look at what's going on here, this girl in her nightshirt, and she's tossed her head back in this maniacal laugh with this insane smile. And then she's holding up a cat, and the cat's just looking down at her. It's one of those that you can tell that this Fear Street book is going to be a little bit crazy, and it really is a fun representation of what's going on here. Because, yeah, this is one of the more crazy, intense Fear Street books. An older sister is the only one in this family to realize their new babysitter has evil magical powers, and it becomes one of those proof versus paranoia stories, sneaking around your own house trying to figure out what the babysitter's deal is. And they introduce some quite extreme powers quite early on in the story, so they're only going to bubble up and get more intense as the plot goes on. Overall, the Fear Street books, they range from some of them being relatively realistic and plausible to others being quite out there, and this is definitely more on the out there and the extreme side. And what can I say, but it's just a really fun Fear Street book. Yeah, there are flaws, and we'll get to those in a minute, but it's still pretty cool. Anyway, digging into the plot a little further, no major spoilers, but let's analyze this a bit. We open up with the framing mechanism. Our main character is locked up. She's in an asylum. She's accused of a crime. No one believes her. She's tired of repeating the same story. And she goes, it all started with that Chrissy. Chrissy is perfect. Perfectly evil. And then we jump back in time. So it is one of those how did I get here stories. It was before the trope was worn out, and it is interesting knowing where we're going, you know? But anyway, Chrissy is, our main character, Amanda, I get their names mixed up for whatever reason, but Amanda is part of this family. Mom and dad, professional workaholic people. She's the older sister, and then she has two younger siblings, a brother and a sister, and they're all going to their summer home in Sea Haven. Yeah, Sea Haven and not Shadyside. The family is from Shadyside. They do actually live on Fear Street, but the book, for the most part, doesn't really take place there. I mean, she calls one of her friends once, so there is a little bit of a tie to Fear Street, but this is one of those Fear Street books that's not super actually much about Fear Street, because they're in Sea Haven this time. So they're at their summer house, but the problem is Amanda failed math. So she can't babysit her little brother and sister because she is going to be in summer school. So they have to hire what's called a mother's helper, which I think it's like a babysitter, but you also help out where needed in the house. So babysitter and also assistant. And they find this girl, Christy, and everyone likes her. She's perfect, she's charming, and they really want to get her. Well, her references aren't picking up. I think one of the lines is just dead, and the other line, someone's apparently left the phone off the hook because they're always busy. So we can't get in touch with her references, but we'd hate to lose her to someone else. She's just so perfect. Let's get her now. And of course, Amanda's the only one that says, this is a bad idea. But she moves in, everything seems okay, but we do get these clues that something's off. the cat, Mr. Jinx, absolutely hates her, and we all know animals can see evil, and the cat hisses at her, and Amanda sees Chrissy hiss back at the cat. And when she tells her parents this, why doesn't Chrissy have a strange sense of humor? No, that was weird. That was weird to hiss back. And then she's walking around late at night, looks in Chrissy's room and sees her, and she looks abnormally tall, but when she looks down, she looks tall because she's actually floating a few feet off the ground. Yeah, really early on in this book, and the bad guy's already floating around. But of course she wakes up and thinks it was all a dream, right? Well, she finds that Chrissy has some newspaper clippings that give hints as to her backstory, and when she tries to steal one and read it back in her room, the newspaper clipping just burst into flames. Yeah, Chrissy's got some powers. So it's going to be a bit of an investigation, you know? Who are those numbers? I mean, they don't answer, but did they belong to someone? She says she's from Sea Haven, but no one knows her. Let's ask around and try to figure things out. And also, those newspaper clippings. Maybe I can call my friend in Shadyside and she'll look up the papers or something. We gotta do some research or see if we can sneak into her room behind her back. But also, yeah, that one clipping just burst into flames. What exactly can Chrissy do? The powers are pretty vaguely defined in this book, but they're vaguely defined and all over the place and as an antagonistic force. So you really don't know what Chrissy can perceive. You don't know if you're sneaky and actually being sneaky, or if she knows what you're doing the whole time. And if she knows, what can she do to you? A whole bag of magic tricks that can really, really mess you up. So yeah, sneaking around your own house as a fugitive before you're a real fugitive in the framing mechanism, and everybody else just thinking, you're crazy, what are you talking about? Chrissy's the best. And yeah, that's a really fun idea. I also like in summer school, she gets a boyfriend character, and the boyfriend's really nice and loves her, and that's like the only one that will listen to her. And it's sort of, you know, high school kid, you say your babysitter's evil? Yeah, I'm cool. Let's go investigate. And sadly for Amanda, Amanda's boyfriend is one of the few things that can actually distract Chrissy. So it's like, okay, spend some time with my boyfriend, I guess. I gotta get to the bottom of this. So that was a bit of a funny element there. And as I said earlier, we start off really early on in this book, and Chrissy's already levitating. It does build to a pretty fun over-the-top climax, and you really do get to see her use more and more of her powers over time. Again, a Fear Street book with bombastic energy, and I really do like that. Now, that being said, there are some flaws this time around. For example, her powers, you know, like I said, initially they are pretty vague. We get like a really quick line of dialogue explaining how she got them, and it's like, oh, we're going with that, are we? Well, they'll make a movie about that in the future, but it is kind of this weird just excuse just so we can say, hey, who cares? Magical powers. But also, Chrissy is just so powerful in this book that whenever the heroes do get the upper hand, it does feel a little bit unbelievable. And, you know, it is kind of a thing where it's like, I don't think they would have had her there. I think Chrissy would have had the upper hand the whole time. And the wrap-up, like, with the framing mechanism, the framing mechanism with the asylum really doesn't turn out to be that big of a deal either. And you'd think it would be a much bigger plot point. And I do also want to mention, really quickly, this book, One Evil Summer, is a little bit of a play off the movie Summer of Fear, a Wes Craven made-for-TV movie with Linda Blair in it. Summer of Fear is pretty fun if you haven't seen it. It's about someone's cousin coming over to their summer house, and she has superpowers, and Linda Blair's the only one that notices. And the thing is, with borrowing a setup, I really don't mind as long as you do something different. I mean, Stine's one to play off existing setups. He uses a bunch of archetypical characters, and we also get times when, like, you know, say Cheese and Die, basically borrowing the setup from The Twilight Zone, A Most Unusual Camera. And if you like this book, I can definitely recommend watching Summer of Fear. But it had to be noted just because they are pretty similar, even in title. But yeah, like I said, it does do its own thing past the setup. But anyway, a fun, crazy Fear Street book. I can definitely recommend it if you are looking for the crazier Fear Street books, you know, because I said some of them are relatively normal. If you want the bombastic energy, this is one of them, and I can definitely recommend it. Anyway, hopefully Simon Pulse will reprint this, and if they do, give us a crazy cover like this. But to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Fear Street playlist. I've covered quite a few books from this series. If you want to see more, you can click there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.